You spend years serving your country, doing what's asked without hesitation. Then one day you come home, file a disability claim for the injuries you carried back with you, and the VA tells you it's not enough. Denied. No apology. No explanation that makes sense. Just a form letter that somehow manages to feel colder than silence. For one veteran, that denial stayed with him for 4 years. For years of waiting, checking the mailbox, rereading paperwork, wondering if he missed something. He didn't. The system did. But what happened next? No lawyers, no press, just one email. A message so simple yet so precise, it made the VA reopen his denied claim after all those years. This isn't just about one man. This is about every veteran who's ever been told their pain wasn't real enough, or their case wasn't strong enough for the system to care. Because if you've ever felt stuck in that loop, what you're about to hear might change how you see your own claim and what to do next. Stay with me, because the moment he hit send changed everything, and it just might work for you too. For 4 long years, David carried the same envelope in his glove box, a denial letter from the VA, dated, stamped, and soul-crushing. It wasn't the first claim he'd filed, but it was the one that hit the hardest, because this time he had proof, medical records, deployment logs, statements from people who'd seen what he went through. He thought it would be enough. It wasn't. The VA claimed his condition wasn't service-connected, despite the clear timeline linking his symptoms to the incident overseas. And with that, they closed the case. But what they didn't realize was that David wasn't done. He just didn't know where to start. Every time he thought about appealing, he felt overwhelmed. The jargon, the forms, the wait times. It felt like shouting into a void where no one was listening. For a while, he let it go, focused on surviving, working odd jobs, managing the pain, pretending everything was fine. But every now and then, he'd pull out that envelope and read the words again, like picking at a scar that never fully healed. Denied. No new evidence. No error in judgment. Case closed. Except something about it never sat right, and that gnawing feeling kept him awake more nights than he could count. Then came the moment that changed everything. David stumbled across a post in a veterans forum. It wasn't official. It wasn't flashy. Just a few sentences from another veteran who'd reopened his own denied claim. Not with a lawyer or a long appeal, but with a single email he'd written directly to the VA's higher-level review office and framed his message in a way that forced them to take a second look, not out of pity, but out of policy. The claim wasn't new, but how it was handled. That was the part that mattered. And suddenly, David had a reason to believe his own case wasn't finished either. What stood out most wasn't just the strategy, it was the simplicity. No threats, no legal jargon, just clarity, confidence, and one key phrase that changed the entire conversation. And once David saw that, he realized something powerful. The system might be flawed, but it isn't immune to pressure when you know where to apply it. David knew that if he was going to try again, he couldn't afford to make the same mistakes. He didn't just want to resubmit paperwork and wait for another generic rejection. This time, he wanted to speak directly to a human being, someone with the authority to actually change the outcome. That's when he learned about something few veterans are ever told: the higher-level review request. It's not an appeal in the traditional sense. It doesn't require new evidence. Instead, it gives your case a second look by someone more experienced. Someone who's supposed to catch what the first reviewer missed. But there's a catch. You only get one shot at it per issue. So if you're going to ask for it, it better be intentional and sharp. The post he'd read on that veterans forum mentioned something else too, a concept called duty to assist error. It's a term buried deep in VA regulations, but it's incredibly powerful. If the VA failed to help gather key evidence during the original claim, like not requesting private medical records, service treatment documents, or buddy statements, they may have violated their own obligations. And if that happened, you have the right to demand a correction. Most veterans never even hear about this. But once David saw those words, he started reading through his claim with fresh eyes. He noticed the records he'd submitted weren't even listed as reviewed. Some medical opinions were summarized, but not quoted. It was sloppy, rushed, and possibly a violation. That's when he began drafting the email. He wasn't angry, he was precise. He opened with his full name, date of birth, and claim number. Then, in one clear paragraph, he laid out exactly what he believed was mishandled. He wrote, "I'm requesting a higher level review of my denied claim dated insert date. I believe there was a duty to assist error in the development of my case, specifically regarding mentioned missing medical records, lack of request for private documentation, or overlooked service treatment notes. I request that a senior reviewer re-examine this case in accordance with VA policy." That was it. No rambling, no frustration, just facts and a clear call to action. He emailed it to the appropriate regional office's HLR inbox. Something else he found with a little digging online. Then he waited. Days passed, then weeks. But this time, when he finally got a response, it wasn't another form letter. It was a call. A senior reviewer had picked up his file, and they had questions, not about what he'd done wrong, but about what had been missed. And that's when David knew. This email wasn't just a shot in the dark. It was a scalpel aimed at the weak point in the system. And finally, someone was listening. David's call with the senior reviewer wasn't long, but it changed everything. The reviewer confirmed that, yes, parts of his medical file hadn't been considered. In fact, 2 of the documents David had submitted with his original claim were never uploaded into the system at all. One of them was a private orthopedic evaluation, clearly linking his back injury to service, a crucial piece of evidence. The reviewer admitted that without those files, the original denial couldn't have been fully informed. And that's when David realized something that no one had ever told him. The VA system isn't just about what you submit. It's about what actually gets seen. But that wasn't the only twist. During the call, the reviewer asked David a question that caught him off guard. "Did anyone ever request your unit's incident logs from that deployment?" David paused. He hadn't even thought to ask for them himself. As it turned out, one of the events he'd reported, an injury during a training exercise, should have triggered a deeper look into his unit's records. But no one had checked. That was another failure in the VA's duty to assist. And because of it, the claim had been denied on lack of evidence that technically should have been gathered by the VA itself. That's the part most veterans miss. They assume if they don't personally have every single piece of evidence, the claim is dead. But in reality, the VA has a legal responsibility to help collect supporting documentation, especially when it's already in a government archive. If they fail to do that, and the veteran calls them on it during a higher level review, they have to fix it. For David, this opened a new door. The reviewer agreed to remand the decision back for correction. It wasn't immediate approval, but it reopened the claim and gave David a chance to have everything properly considered this time. That moment, one sentence on a phone call, was a turning point. All because he had written a clear email, used the right terminology, and knew just enough about the system to speak their language. What came next would prove just how powerful that first step really was. The strange part? David wasn't a lawyer or a claims agent, or even someone with prior experience navigating the VA. He was just a former Army mechanic who got tired of waiting and decided to dig in. What made the difference wasn't a law degree. It was curiosity and persistence. After his phone call with the reviewer, he spent the next few evenings reading through Board of Veterans' Appeals decisions online. Thousands of them. He filtered for cases similar to his, denied back claims, post-deployment injuries, overlooked medical evaluations. And what he found was startling. Over and over, veterans were denied for the same reasons: lack of nexus, no verified incident, or evidence not properly considered. But he also noticed something else. In many of the successful appeals, veterans use specific phrases in their submissions: failure of duty to assist, evidence not reviewed, request for reconsideration under 38 CFR Section 3.156C. These weren't just fancy legal terms. They were triggers that told VA adjudicators to look closer. So David decided to rewrite his email. This time, he used those terms carefully. He outlined the missing records. He cited the regulation about new service department records. He attached a copy of his original evaluation and ended with a clear statement. I am requesting the VA to reopen this claim based on newly identified and previously unconsidered service records in accordance with 38 CFR Section 3.156C. He didn't expect much, but less than 2 weeks later, he got an email back. It was short, just a few lines, but it included a name, a phone number, and an invitation to schedule another call. This time with a decision review officer. That's when it hit him. They were listening now. David didn't have a secret shortcut. He didn't have a powerful contact on the inside. What he had was clarity and the ability to speak the VA's language in a way that couldn't be ignored. The process hadn't suddenly become easy, but it had become possible. And for the first time in 4 years, David felt like he wasn't just shouting into a void. When David finally got the chance to speak with the decision review officer, he came prepared. He knew the importance of keeping the conversation focused and professional, rather than venting frustration. He calmly explained the situation, referencing the new evidence he had uncovered and clearly stating how it related to his claim. This wasn't just about telling his story. It was about connecting the dots between his service, his injury, and the medical records that supported his case. The officer listened carefully, asked clarifying questions, and promised to review everything thoroughly. But David also learned a crucial lesson here. Patience is everything. The VA appeals process isn't a sprint. It's a marathon. The review could take months. And even then, the outcome wasn't guaranteed. Yet David stayed engaged. He followed up politely but persistently, kept copies of all correspondence, and made sure to document every phone call. He discovered that keeping the VA accountable means showing you're organized and serious about your claim. What surprised David the most was how much small details mattered. A single overlooked document, a missed deadline, or a poorly worded statement could derail the entire appeal. He realized that appealing a denied claim isn't just about the big picture. It's about mastering the fine print. He started using checklists, sought advice from veterans advocates online, and even joined support groups where others shared their own experiences and tips. This community became a lifeline, proof that he wasn't alone in this struggle. And as he waited, David found strength in knowing that his voice mattered. The email he sent wasn't just words on a screen. It was a turning point. It showed that persistence, preparation, and understanding the system could break through years of silence. His story isn't unique, but it's a powerful reminder. Sometimes, the key to reopening a denied claim is simply refusing to give up and learning how to speak the VA's language. Even after submitting his detailed email and following up with a decision review officer, David realized the fight wasn't over. The VA's response came weeks later, and while it wasn't immediate approval, it was a sign they were taking his case seriously again. This phase brought a new challenge: understanding the technical jargon and legal language used in the VA's letters. David quickly saw that deciphering these documents was essential to avoid missing deadlines or misinterpreting requests. He found that many veterans overlooked the importance of responding promptly and accurately to every VA communication. Ignoring a letter or delaying a reply can lead to automatic denial or loss of appeal rights. David learned to treat every notice like a ticking clock, setting reminders and asking for help when needed. He discovered that reaching out to a Veteran Service Officer, VSO, could make a huge difference. These advocates know the ins and outs of VA bureaucracy and can guide veterans through the maze of paperwork, deadlines, and procedures. One surprising truth David uncovered was that sometimes the VA asks for additional medical exams or evidence, called a compensation and pension (CNP) exam. Many veterans dread these exams, fearing they'll be used against them. But David learned that preparing for the exam, bringing your medical history, being honest, and clearly explaining symptoms can strengthen your case. He also realized it's okay to bring someone with you for support or even request a different examiner if you feel uncomfortable. This phase tested David's resilience more than ever. The waiting, the back and forth, and the uncertainty could easily lead to burnout. But he stayed focused by reminding himself why he started this journey: to get the benefits he earned and to ensure his struggles were acknowledged. Every email he sent, every document he organized, was a step closer to justice. His persistence eventually paid off when the VA agreed to reopen his claim, proving that understanding the process and staying proactive can turn years of frustration into a hopeful path forward. Once the VA reopened David's claim, a new chapter began, one filled with cautious optimism but also fresh hurdles. The reopening meant his case was back on the table, but that didn't guarantee an automatic win. David learned quickly that this stage was where the strength of his evidence truly mattered. He needed to gather updated medical records, lay statements from family and friends, and any new documentation that supported his claim. Each piece of evidence became a crucial puzzle part, showing the full impact of his service-connected condition on his daily life. But even with strong evidence, David realized the importance of knowing his rights during this process. He discovered that veterans often aren't aware they can request a hearing with a veterans law judge to present their case in person. These hearings can be a powerful way to humanize your claim, letting you explain things that papers alone can't capture. David also found out that having legal representation, even from a nonprofit veterans organization, could change the course of the appeal dramatically. Surprisingly, David faced another challenge: the VA's internal delays. He uncovered stories of veterans waiting months, even years, after reopening before their claims were fully decided. This was a reality check on patience and persistence. But instead of letting frustration take over, David learned to keep detailed records of all his interactions with the VA, including dates, names, and notes from phone calls. This diligence helped him stay organized and empowered him to follow up confidently, reducing the chances of getting lost in the system. David also became aware of the power of peer support. Connecting with other veterans going through similar battles gave him practical advice and emotional encouragement. He found online forums, local support groups, and even advocacy networks that shared tips on dealing with the VA and navigating the appeal process. This community helped him realize he wasn't alone, and that collective knowledge could be a game changer. At this stage, David understood that reopening a denied claim was not the finish line, but rather a critical step in a longer journey. It demanded patience, preparation, and often outside help. But with every piece of evidence gathered, every appointment attended, and every phone call made, he was building a stronger case of the benefits he deserved. His story became one of resilience and determination, showing that even after years of setbacks, a well-crafted email and relentless effort could bring a denied claim back to life. As David's appeal moved forward, he encountered an unexpected hurdle that many veterans face: the need to understand and navigate the complex VA medical examinations. These exams, known as compensation and pension (CMP) exams, can make or break a claim. David soon realized that these evaluations are not just routine checkups. They're critical moments where the VA determines the severity of a veteran's disability and its connection to service. David learned that being prepared for a CMP exam was essential. The examiners asked detailed questions, sometimes challenging, about symptoms and daily limitations. Veterans often don't realize that their answers can significantly impact the outcome. David took time to document his symptoms carefully before the exam, noting how his condition affected everything from his ability to sleep to his capacity to perform basic tasks. He knew that minimizing his struggles or trying to tough it out wouldn't help. Honesty and clarity were key. What shocked David was the fact that examiners might sometimes seem rushed or detached, leading to frustrating experiences. Knowing this, he made sure to speak up calmly but firmly, describing the real impact of his injuries. He also learned that if he felt the exam was incomplete or inaccurate, he could request a second opinion or submit additional medical evidence to support his case. David discovered that the results of these exams were a big part of what the VA used to grant or deny benefits, so missing or downplaying symptoms could cost dearly. He also found that following up on exam results and ensuring they were added to his file was just as important as the exam itself. Navigating the CMP exam process felt daunting, but David's proactive approach made a difference. By preparing thoroughly and advocating for himself, he took control of this critical step in his appeal. His experience highlights a crucial truth for all veterans. Understanding the power of the CMP exam and going into it informed can be the difference between acceptance and denial. And what happened next would shock everyone. Now that you've heard David's story and the key steps he took to reopen his denied claim, it's clear that persistence, preparation, and understanding the VA system can make all the difference. Navigating this process isn't easy, and many veterans face frustration and setbacks, but knowing what to expect and how to advocate for yourself puts the power back in your hands. Remember, your claim is not just paperwork. It's about your life, your health, and the benefits you deserve for your service. If you're currently dealing with a denied claim or thinking about appealing, take a moment to reflect on the strategies shared here. Whether it's the importance of clear communication, keeping detailed records, or standing firm during CNP exams, these insights can help you avoid common pitfalls and increase your chances of success. Thank you for joining us today and trusting us to share this important information. We'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment below sharing what part of this story resonated with you or any questions you might have. Your thoughts are valuable and help us create content that truly supports veterans like you. If you found this video helpful, please give a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any future videos designed to guide and empower you through the VA claims process. Your support helps us continue delivering content that informs and inspires. Thanks again for watching, and we look forward to being part of your journey toward getting the benefits you've earned.